I am Jamie McDonald, this is Natalie Derflinger, and together with Bobby Foster-Grayler, we are your Pierce College Criminal Justice team. On behalf of our team tonight, we welcome you to tonight's Women of Justice Forum. Before we get started, I have a few thank yous. It would not have been possible to pull this event together without one of the heart and souls of our department, Ms. Julie Cargill, and the support of Ms. Joanne Beria. Additionally, yes, through Julie's hard work, we were able to secure a very generous funding from the Perkins Foundation. Perkins federal dollars. I'm just a cop, I don't know this stuff, Joanne. Additionally, a huge thank you to all of our student volunteers today. Everything we do, it's because you inspire us to do it. Tonight's forum is dedicated to the inspiration, the challenges, and the triumphs that women in the criminal justice system face. And tonight we are going to be joined by an amazing panel and a guest note speaker. And they're going to bring forward their inspirations, their challenges, and their triumphs.
So before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to remind everybody that women were not always encouraged or even allowed to participate in the criminal justice system. One of my personal heroes, Mira Bradwell, back in 1869, wanted to be an attorney. And in spite of being qualified, she was not allowed to be an attorney because she was a married woman. And she took the fight all the way to the Supreme Court because she wanted to be an attorney. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court ruled against her. And in ruling against her, the justices said that God designed the sexes to occupy different spheres of action, and it belonged to men to make, apply, and execute the laws. So thankfully, the fight for women to sit at the table of justice did not end in 1869. And over the past 149 years, women have made great strides in joining and serving the criminal justice system. The fight has been long, the fight has not been easy, and the fight continues today. In spite of the fact that women make up 51% of the population in our country, currently 13% of law enforcement officers are female. 27% of judicial seats are held by women, and 36% of legal professionals are women. So in spite of the progress we've made, we still have a ways to go. So tonight we're going to be joined by 9 women, all pioneers in their own right. From our keynote speaker, the Honorable Judge Helen Whitener, to our panel of criminal justice professionals you're going to get a chance to meet. These women together represent 149 years of progress that women have made to apply, and to execute the laws of the United States. We hope tonight that you all find your inspiration to meet and face any challenges that you may have to face, so you too can triumph like the women before you, and of course all of you. So without further delay, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, the Honorable Judge Helen Whitener. She is one of our very own Pierce County Superior Court judges. Her journey to the bench is a remarkable one, and I encourage her to share her story with us. Thank you, Helen.
Wow. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming out at 5:30. The weather isn't too bad, so that's good. Thank you, Professor. I appreciate it for giving me this opportunity to speak to everyone. And thank you for Pierce College for putting on this event to empower and inspire all of you who are interested, or maybe not, to pursuing a career in the criminal justice system. I came to this country at the age of 16 to attend university. 16. I was born on a Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago. So 16 years old, my parents placed me on a plane and sent me to this foreign land. That was a pretty scary thing, but I knew that I wanted to better my life. 16 years old. So it can start young, or you can be as old as I don't know, 90, 95. Education has no age. So at 16 years old, I came to the US, and I thought I would be a teacher. You know, my parents were educators. My mother was a teacher. My father was a teacher. He retired as a school principal. So at 16 years old, I'm in a foreign country, and I had to pretty much ask myself what I'm going to ask you to ask yourself this evening. Why are you here? Pretty simple question. But really, why are you here? I was here at that age trying to pursue an undergraduate degree because I wanted to make a difference. I thought I'd be a teacher. So I went to school thinking I'd become a teacher, because that's what I was familiar with, my parents being educators. Boy, was I wrong. During my undergraduate degree, I realized that I could make money with a business degree. So I majored in international marketing, thinking at 16, I'm graduating. It took me literally 5 years, not 4, but 5, to graduate in a 4-year program. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it took me a while to figure out that making money wasn't everything. Coming from a small island, I thought, the United States, money grew on trees. So it was important to make money. And I realized at that young age, as I was working through my education, that money wasn't everything. So I went back to my core values of service, which is what my parents were as educators. And I've never lost track of that. What you don't know about my background, I will now tell you. Yes, I'm a Pierce County Superior Court judge. I am your first immigrant-born judge. I am your first openly gay judge. And I'm first black openly gay judge for the state of Washington. I learned that not too long ago. I am also disabled. Disability is not always visual. So I maneuver through an able-bodied world as a physically disabled individual. So I'm a black female, lesbian, immigrant, disabled person. Can you add another label on me? All those labels, the reason why I'm telling you about them is because all of those labels are tied to disenfranchisement, which means I should not be standing here as a Superior Court judge. Because at every avenue of my life, I was told that I would not amount to anything because of the color of my skin, because of my gender, because I was a foreigner, because I was disabled and needed accommodations. And then, what you also don't know is coming from that Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago, it is technically still today illegal to be openly gay. So I was subject to at least 25 years of incarceration for being an openly gay individual. This was a criminal act. And I can only say was because less than a month ago, the High Court in Trinidad and Tobago found the law unconstitutional. So it still has its way of working, time to work through the court system. But imagine that. So all facets of me, I shouldn't be a failure. But failure is not an option. I consider failure an opportunity to succeed. So every time, as I tell you about my journey, you will hear about different failures that I encountered and how I turned them into opportunities to get to this point. So, my legal career started around 1995 when I emigrated. Well, I didn't emigrate, but I moved from Alaska to Washington State. Now, you're probably asking, how did this island girl end up in Alaska to begin with? I went from New York City, after I completed my undergraduate degree in international marketing and trade, to Alaska. Culture shock. I literally called the police because there was a moose in the backyard and I thought it had escaped from the zoo. That's how much culture shock there was. And to this day, I'm nervous about them finding that recording because, you know, we have reality TV, so. But yeah, I did call the police. But after working in international marketing and trade, because the hub is in, the Pacific hub is in Anchorage, Alaska. And it just was too cold for this island girl. So I was heading back to Trinidad and Tobago. I had had it with the weather here in the United States. I was done. I was going to go back home, work in whatever field, business, you know, visit the beach, have a good life. And a friend in Washington said, before you do that, how about you check out Washington State? So my question was, what is in Washington State? The only Washington I knew was DC. And she said, it's similar to Trinidad and Tobago. How? Yeah, how? The people were warm, very much like an island. The opportunities are there if you want them. And the weather is like Trinidad, rainy. Wet and dry, we have at home, here, rainy. So I thought I'd give Washington a chance. Now, at the time, residing in Alaska, I was raising 4 girls with my partner at the time. We got these children because my partner's daughter became a victim of the drug epidemic and was about to lose her children to the state of Alaska. And we stepped in and took all 4 girls. The youngest was still in the hospital, less than a month, and the eldest was about 8 years old. Now I'm a young girl. I know nothing about raising children, but I stepped in with her to make sure they did not become a statistic. This was, you have to remember, at a time when non-traditional families were unheard of. So when I moved to Washington State, in tow with 4 young girls and my ex, I thought I would just get a job, any job will do, and that would be the end of it. I got a job working at an accounting firm in Bellevue, doing accounts receivable. The reason I tell you that is, remember, my background was international marketing and trade, but I needed a job because I had mouths to feed. And I worked in accounting, and I did one project for one of the partners in that firm. And after completing that project, he said, have you considered law school? What? It's accounting. How do you get from accounting to law school? And he said, because, now you know, if you were in my courtroom, I'd take that phone. No, I'm kidding. Actually, if you were, I would take the phone. But, so he said, you should consider law school.